Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheap Shot Entertainment Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at No Way Out 2002. It took place on the 17th of February and came to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Although that was Green Bay, and of course that was Mr. Anderson from the Bradley Center in front of 15,291 WWE fans. The runtime was 3 hours. The theme song was Feel So Numb by Rob Zombie. Of course, Rob Zombie was a big player in WWE at this point, doing SmackDown music. You can find the arena in the video game SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, and it was notable for a very big return of a lethal dose of poison to the WWE as described by Vince McMahon himself. Anyway, we're going to go into the main part of the video, and if you want to join us there, please do. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below the video to let us know what you thought of No Way Out 2002. Let's get going, shall we? And we start the show with a showing from the New World Order. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and the third man, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. They come out, they cut a promo saying, God bless Vince McMahon, who's given them a chance, and to give them a chance, the fans are saying, what, all the time? The most annoying fan chant ever, by the way. And, notably, Scott Hall looks absolutely terrible. It was very much noted that at this point he was trying to come down off the substances, but he fell off the wagon very quickly. Kevin Nash looks absolutely furious. He looks really pissed off about having to cut that promo about how great Vince McMahon is. And of course, Hollywood Hulk Hogan just does what he does. That is the start of the show. We get introduced to the NWO. We would see them throughout the night, of course, interacting with the different superstars as we move on. And we start the show wrestling-wise with the Tag Team Turmoil match. The winner of the Tag Team Turmoil match gets a shot at the Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania 18. I'm not going to call it X8 because, but yes, there was a tendency to call things X something at this point in time, but until WrestleMania 19, I think, actually. Anyway, so Tag Team Turmoil match. It is APA, the Dudley Boys, Christian and Lance Storm, the Hardy Boys, Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty. Of course, Albert is the hip hop hippo at this point in time, and Billy and Chuck, of course, who were quite a new tag team at this point. And by the time we finished out the end of the year in 2002, would be a very good tag team. They were a very good tag team here as well. So we start off with Christian and Lance Storm versus Scotty 2 Hotty and the Hip Hop Hippo Albert. Love Christian and Lance Storm. I think they're absolutely fantastic, and they work really well together. And with Albert and Scotty 2 Hotty just being put together for the sake of being put together, it shows here as Christian and Lance Storm work really well together and hit the on prettier with Lance Storm stopping the Hip Hop Hippo from breaking up the pin. Scotty 2 Hotty and Albert are eliminated first. We then get to see the Hardy Boys who come down to the ring, and after some backing and forthing, toing and froing, it is a twist of fate to Storm that gets the win here, and Christian and Lance Storm are gone. The Dudley Boys are out next, and Jeff gets acquainted with the concrete courtesy of a 3D after the finish of this one, where Matt Hardy rolls up Devon after Bubba Ray has been taken out by Jeff Hardy and a plunger from the top rope. Of course, both Stacy Keibler, the Duchess of Dudleyville, and Lita do get involved in this one. They end up having a cat fight, and Jerry Lawler is very happy. But ultimately, the Dudley Boys are eliminated. Bit of a dodgy roll up here, and yes, it is the Hardy Boys that go through. But as Billy and Chuck come out, of course, Jeff Hardy has been acquainted with the concrete, courtesy of a 3D. And basically, it's a handicap match. Billy and Chuck go over in this one with a famous and the Hardy Boys are eliminated. Bit of a shotgun elimination phase there to get to the end of the match. But the final participants, the final team in the tag team turmoil match, are the Acolytes Protection Agency, of course, Farouk and Bradshaw before he became the billionaire, coming out in a limo with longhorns on the front of it and lots of cowbell. Anyway, the APA eliminate Billy and Chuck with a clothesline from hell, and my goodness, doesn't Billy sell this one? He flips over backwards, and the APA win, going on to WrestleMania 18 in March, of course. Uh, the I'm going to give this one actually a great opening match, really good. Lots of great tag teams here, even if they were chucked together. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5 cheap shots out of 5. Very, very good match. And just that little bit in the middle where it was very much shotgun finishes, so we didn't get to see a lot of all of the tag teams here. Next segment is Ric Flair being interviewed by Maggle Cole and saying how the NWO have their own agenda and lots of people in the back wanting to show them some respect. And speaking of respect, when you think of respect, you think of The Undertaker. He comes out next, steals the microphone from Maggle Cole and pushes him into the No Way Out sign and cuts a promo on Ric Flair saying, you know what? Who's watching your back? And this is when Undertaker was the true American badass. And he would just cut that massive promo on Ric Flair and just be really, really cool and awesome and badass. So next up we have Rob Van Dam versus Goldust, two of my very favorite superstars in WWF at the time. Rob Van Dam obviously coming over from ECW and Goldust just being awesome anyway. So these two matched up really well together. The crowd was definitely behind Rob Van Dam. And a lot of this match took place outside the ring, showing how much the WWE has changed in its landscape over the last 20 years. But yeah, Goldust definitely brought the fight straight to RVD, grounding the high flyer straight away, knowing that if he had the momentum on the outside of the ring and just kept beating down RVD every time he got up, that he would ultimately have the upper hand here. Obviously, with Goldust, he also has the strength advantage, whereas Rob Van Dam likes to fly and is a bit more speedy. Um, the match starts and basically spends a good 5 minutes outside the ring with beating each other up, with Goldust being the enforcer in this one. Rob Van Dam, every single time he tried to get up, got beaten back down, getting his momentary advantage, the small shine, as it were, before Goldust would go back to the heat. Van Dam would get a big shine then with the Rolling Thunder and getting the crowd behind him. He would eventually hit the 5-star frog splash and attempted to kick the pinfall, but Goldust kicked out at 2. And this would just slow him down, battle out. Goldust delivering strong forearms to the head of his opponent, but this soon followed by another 5-star frog splash for Van Dam to get the victory. And your winner in this one is Rob Van Dam, RVD. Definitely one of the most popular superstars from the transition from ECW to WWE at the time, and is now, of course, a Hall of Famer in the WWE. Great match, though. Really good. Nice transition into the next promo, which we'll go through in just a second. I'm going to give this one another 3.5 cheap shots out of 5. Really, really good match. Can't really give it any more. But yeah, I mean, I could give it more, but I think 3.5 cheap shots out of 5 is very good in terms of what the WWE was producing at this time. It had a mountain of talent that it had to try and fit onto a wrestling card, but really good match. Great opening to this pay-per-view, actually. So we go backstage once again. We're following Stone Cold Steve Austin through the halls of the arena, where we see the seamstress in the background as well. And he is stopped in his tracks by the NWO and looking to intimidate Stone Cold Steve Austin, as if Scott Hall surprisingly pulled out a 6-pack of beer, because that didn't last very long. And um, as a gift to Stone Cold, trying to lure him into the NWO, of course, immediately threw it over his shoulder, showing he didn't care and wasn't going to stand for any of the NWO's antics. Hulk Hogan then backed down and told Hall and Nash to let the man through. Austin walked right through the NWO, but the NWO stared a hole through the back of Austin as he walked away. And of course, that would lead to more matches down the line. Really setting this one up. Going through the WWE locker room, injecting the poison, that kind of thing. Really quite cerebral storytelling here by the WWE. Next match is a tag team match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. It is Taz and Spike Dudley, the current champions, versus Booker T and Test. And Team Booker T and Test were basically thrown together and looking for some championship gold. They seem to be working quite well, which is why they got the championship match against Spike and Taz. And everyone thinks that they can take these two out because they're short in stature, and they just go at you. They're just bulldog-like mentality in terms of being a tag team. They are very resilient as a tag team, and it's no different here. Spike manages to deliver a DDT and takes out Booker T. Test gets really angry, pushes the referee. The referee then pushes him back, and that goes straight into a Taz mission for the win. Very quite a short match, really enjoyable. I'm going to give this one 2 cheap shots out of 5. Could do with a bit longer, especially since how there's only one set of tag team championships at this point in time. And they retain, go on to WrestleMania against the APA. So 2 tag teams that you'd think weren't, you know, at the top of the WWE at this point in time are at the top of WWE at this time. You've got the likes of the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys. You haven't got Edge and Christian anymore, sadly, but Christian's now with Lance Storm, who would go on to form the Un-Americans later on. But yeah, really enjoyable match. Next, we have a backstage segment featuring The Rock, where Jonathan Coachman is interviewing The Rock regarding his opponent, The Undertaker. The Rock goes into his famous lines and catchphrases, saying that The Undertaker would, in fact, become what he says he is, a dead man. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, and that's the bottom line. But yeah, really good backstage promo here where The Rock says he's going to kick The Undertaker's ass all over Milwaukee, getting pops. You've got to mention the name of the place you're in, and it's yay! The Rock had them eating out of his hand, as he usually does. Really good promo from The Rock. More championship action on the way next. It is Edge versus William Regal, the greatest intercontinental champion ever known to man, who is the current champion. This is for the Intercontinental Championship, of course. And this match was a brass knuckles on a pole match. Obviously, William Regal taking exception to Edge using the brass knuckles all the time, trying to save the locker room from having any more incidents of Edge hiding brass knucks down his tights. Of course, William Regal would never ever do things like that because he's very much a gentleman, an English gentleman, and a upstanding human being to boot as well. So we get the brass knucks on a pole match where if the brass knucks are retrieved from the pole, they are absolutely illegal. Sorry, absolutely legal rather, or where they would be illegal otherwise. Um, so the referee checks both men, making sure that Edge does not have any brass knucks down his tights. Um, doesn't They don't need to use the brass knuckles to win the match, of course. Can just be a straight win, and the opening exchanges prove that where both guys do try and climb the turnbuckle to retrieve the brass knuckles, but Edge ultimately gets the first near fall. Both guys go to the outside, and of course, this bit is well, not legal, but I mean, it's kind of like a hardcore match with brass knuckles being in play. Um, and yeah, Edge using all of his dirty tactics that he would usually do. Regal goes to the outside of the ring, attacking Edge where he had previously. Regal managed to get back into the ring and try and retrieve the brass knuckles, and it was Edge who pushed him off the top rope and dove onto him on the outside of the ring. So some high flying spots here. Regal continued to punish Edge on the outside as he missed that opportunity and tries to retrieve the brass knuckles. Another exchange back and forth, and the two end up fighting on the turnbuckle until Regal is unceremoniously dumped onto his fellas on the top rope, of course. And Regal gets a suplex from Edge from the top rope as well. Brass Knuckles went flying into the ring at this point, and he came off of the pole as William Regal was trying to reach for them. Edge delivered a spear, and that is his signature move at this point in time. He then gets excited, picks up the brass knuckles. Edge got his hands on the weapons and rolled back into the ring. Um, Regal then pulled out a pair of brass knuckles to even the fight because he wouldn't do that normally. I'm sure he was seething inside that it actually got to that point. Hits Edge in the face with the brass knuckles and picks up the win. Edge, of course, getting his comeuppance here for using the brass knucks all of the time. 1, 2, 3. Regal retains the Intercontinental Championship, and Edge lies beaten, battered, and bloodied in the middle of the ring. Yes, another really good match, not quite on par with the other matches previously, so I'm going to give this one a 3 cheap shots out of 5. Pains me to do so, but the use of the brass knucks is just not William Regal's style. And yeah, it was a really good match. Love William Regal and Edge ultimately, but yeah, 3 cheap shots out of 5. Lillian Garcia now interviewing Kurt Angle in anticipation of what would be the pre-main event for the night. Kurt Angle will take on Triple H in a #1 contenders match for the Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania 18. Stephanie McMahon will also be a special guest referee for this match. With the backstory that Triple H and Stephanie were engaged to be married, Triple H wanted out of the relationship, and Stephanie lied about being pregnant, and this led to Triple H mistrusting her, and needless to say, some bad blood between the couple was brewing. Kurt Angle, of course, was in the middle of this love triangle and accentuated the circumstances between the previously engaged couple. Lillian Garcia. Angle went on to advise Lillian Garcia during the interview that he had full confidence in himself for the upcoming match and full confidence in Stephanie to do the fair and honest thing and do a great job of refereeing. Kurt Angle went on to imply that he was better than Triple H, of course, and in every way, and flaunting his gold medals that we all know he won with a broken freaking neck. It's true. It's damn true. So the next match after two very good championship matches is two absolute legends in The Rock and The Undertaker. And I tell you, these two beat the snot out of each other, as you would expect. Undertaker obviously coming back off the back of being eliminated by Maven from the Royal Rumble and then beating his ass throughout the arena at that show. And The Rock coming off the back of a loss at Royal Rumble, reminding Undertaker that he was eliminated by a rookie. Undertaker takes physical control of this match nice and early. The ring is pretty much on the back burner here with this match. These two, like I say, just beat each other senseless throughout the arena. Nice to see a pay-per-view where matches get a little bit of leeway for these things going back 20 years. It does make me miss that kind of style where the referees wouldn't sort of pay a lot of attention to the counts and things when they were on the outside, but would still do everything properly on the inside. Lots of leeway. Undertaker locks in a bear hug on The Rock after they come back to the ring after fighting outside. And The Rock feeds off the fans, eventually gets the break, and the fans start cheering him on. The Rock then lands a couple of forearms to the Undertaker's face before uh, planting his opponent head first in the middle of the ring with a DDT. The Rock immediately kips up and the transition, the Rock very quickly hit the Undertaker with a spine buster, goes for the people's elbow. However, the Undertaker countered by grabbing the Rock by the throat and hitting the choke slam, which was met by another reversal from the Rock, and the Undertaker eventually overpowered the Rock successfully to hit the choke slam properly, and the Undertaker gets a near fall. We do see a lead pipe brought into this match. Ric Flair with the counter on this, trying to stop The Undertaker from doing what he thought he was going to do, which was hit The Rock with it, use it to win the match. The Undertaker loads Ric Flair onto the floor with a massive boot to the chops. It goes into the ring, goes to try and hit The Rock. The Rock counters, but man comes out. He gets brought into the ring, gets beaten up. Um, the Undertaker then tries to use the lead pipe, gets not caught again. Ric Flair eventually does get the pipe, hits the Undertaker over the head with it while the referee is checking on Vince McMahon. And then the Rock hits the rock bottom and gets the pinfall over the Undertaker, over his fallen foe. I would love to give this one 5 stars, except that it was a bit of a cluster with Ric Flair and Vince McMahon coming down, respectively. 1, 2, 3. The Rock wins. I'm going to give this 4 cheap shots out of 5. Great match, two absolute legends. As you can expect, these two definitely put on an absolute show. And now it's time to find out
Which WWF superstar is at WWF New York because they didn't have a spot on the card?
It is the absolute legend, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, who is at the WWE New York, WWF New York, celebrating with fans. Looks very happy to be there, of course, making his triumphant return at the Royal Rumble, getting a bit of a run, but ultimately would not have a spot on this card. But Mr. Perfect, absolute legend at WWF New York in Times Square. So the first of a double main event sees Triple H versus Kurt Angle with Stephanie McMahon Helmsley as the special guest referee. The backstory of this one is that the McMahon Helmsleys are getting a divorce after trying to renew their vows. Stephanie McMahon Helmsley lying about being pregnant. They have a serious failure in marriage, and Stephanie McMahon wants to be the referee. Of course, this does mean that uh, the match is very one-sided in terms of the referee, but yeah, the storyline is really good, and the winner of this match is the number one contender for the undisputed championship at WrestleMania. Of course, this is played heavily on in the first couple of minutes, where Kurt Angle's getting multiple roll-ups on Triple H and fast counts and things. Triple H reverses. There's a very slow count, and Stephanie McMahon says his shoulders are underneath the ropes, and we introduce the marital problems here. Marital problems. There we go. Got the words out eventually. Yeah, so two swift attempts to pin, Triple H reversing, Angle proving that this match was not going to be called fairly. Triple H made a comeback then and got a few hits in. Stephanie McMahon becomes victim of Triple H ducking a clothesline, and yeah, he knocks Stephanie McMahon off the ring apron, and she becomes unconscious on the outside. Referee Tim White comes down to fill in. The action continues in the ring. Triple H delivers a forearm, left momentarily without a referee, of course. Man gets carried away to the back, only to make a triumphant comeback later on. Tim White gets taken out then, and two referee bumps in one match. And this leads to more referee bumps, actually, because there's another two. Stephanie McMahon getting squashed in the corner, Tim White coming back in, and Stephanie McMahon elbow dropping Tim White as Triple H gets the pin after a very pedigree attempt. Triple H then tries to pedigree his next ex-wife, and Kurt Angle comes in with the chair that he brought in the first place just before the pedigree to Kurt Angle, and hits Triple H over the back with it, and then in the face, and then we get the count from Stephanie McMahon, and your new number one contender for the WWE Undisputed Championship is Kurt Angle, the Olympic hero. Uh, Great match. Not we couldn't expect any more from these two. Following the um, following the Rock and the Undertaker, and then we've still got Jericho and Stone Cold. Just shows how much talent is in the WWE at this point. Um, yeah, really, really good match. Couldn't fault this one at all, apart from perhaps too many ref bumps. Can we say? I always try and pick through. The whole match was really well structured. Couldn't find any faults wrestling wise or storytelling wise. But I'm going to give this one 4.5 cheap shots out of 5. Really good match. Going on to the main event now. So we get another backstage segment now with the NWO walking around the locker room meeting The Rock. Apparently it is Hogan's son's favorite wrestler. He gets a picture with The Rock and then mutters under his breath, "So much for the people's choice." So people's taste rather, and under his breath, and then starts laughing with his buddies. The Rock cuts him off and said, "You mind repeating that?" And says it doesn't matter what he said, because The Rock was being a gentleman. The Rock was taking a picture for his son, and then he says to Chico, Red Rizza Ramon, he says to take the camera that he's just used to take a picture of The Rock with Hogan. Shine it up real nice. Pass it over to Big Daddy Cool. Diesel. And he's going to turn it sideways and then pass it to Hogan for him to stick it up all their candy asses. One of the greatest Rock promos that never gets mentioned. This one was really, really good. Reminds me of how great wrestling used to be. The Rock then walks off and leaves the Chico, the Diesel, and the Hollywood to yeah, wallow in their sorrows, as they're not doing a very good job of winning over the locker room here, are they? but it's typical NWO fashion. And it's now time for the main event, the final match of the evening, which is for the Undisputed Championship. Chris Jericho, of course, the current champion, versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the final match of the night. And it was Stone Cold, it was Stone Cold's first title match since Armageddon, actually, because The Rock was in the title match at Royal Rumble. Anyway, uh, the winner of this match would go on to defend their championship against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 18. So Austin was playing mind games with Jericho, stalking Jericho, keeping Jericho looking over his shoulder, and insulting slap to the face of Austin. Austin responded with his trademark middle finger to the undisputed champion, and the action was underway with Jericho's athleticism and Austin's brawling style on display. Very much a chalk and cheese match, this, but both can put on a very, very good match. Austin began by delivering forceful chops to Jericho in the turnbuckle. Jericho welts would form on Jericho's chest. Austin controlled the match for most of this, and got back. It took it outside the ring, got back into the ring. Jericho sidesteps Austin and threw Austin over the top rope to gain a little bit of momentum in this one. Has Austin got the best of the earlier exchanges? The champion allowed Austin followed Austin to the outside, and the two brawled using the outside the barriers, the ring apron, everything you can think of. Seemingly, Jericho was in complete control. Austin attempted to drive Jericho into the barriers, but Jericho would respond with a reversal on Austin. Two superstars made their way back into the ring, and Austin performed the um, turnbuckle moves, hitting Jericho into the turnbuckle and then using the mud hole stomp. Um, Lots of adrenaline here. Austin picks up the momentum again, looking like he's going to get to WrestleMania as the champion facing Kurt Angle. Austin feeling the energy of the fans here, and Jericho knocked to the ground and attempted to perform Jericho's signature moves, the walls of Jericho. Jericho himself on Jericho, sorry, and it was reversed. Jericho found himself back in the driver's seat and hit Austin with a lion salt. Jericho would not let the momentum slow down, continue, tried to get the wall of Jericho, trying to get the submission on Austin. He gets to the bottom rope, using the championship belt as well. This one was in the ring. Austin attempted the signature move, Stone Cold Stunner, rather, and Austin, this was reversed into a running bulldog. Austin reversed that into, and Jericho inadvertently knocked the referee out cold. Another referee bump, of course. Austin was unaware that the referee was incapacitated and locked the walls of Jericho in once more. Jericho tapped out. Austin should be the champion, and because he won the match. Austin looking round for the referee. Austin with the championship belt in his hand. Austin reverse attack, delivered the Stone Cold Stunner, had the match in the bag, seconds away from being the undisputed champion. And then, like a pack of dogs, the NWO charged the ring to assault Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin fought off Hogan, Hall, and Nash, 3-on-1, and got got it down to the in the middle of the ring as the NWO slid out of the ring. Jericho slid back in, beaten in the middle of the ring. Austin would succumb to the NWO. Jericho got the cover for the 1, 2, 3. Very slow count here from the referee, Hal Hebner, who always does the championship matches. And yeah, Jericho gets the victory. Jericho retains and stole the victory from the mouths of defeat as the NWO, who left Austin lifeless in the middle of the ring, would crawl back into the ring and spray Austin with an NWO with spray paint on the back of the rattlesnake. And that is No Way Out 2002. Really good pay-per-view. Of course, I didn't give that match a rating. I'm going to go 4.5 cheap shots out of 5. Really good match. No interference until right at the end, which I'm fine with. It gave the storyline, obviously Austin showing no respect to the NWO, turning his back on them as they tried to talk to him. Was always going to be the way. And of course, this leads to a program between Austin and Scott Hall. And all these three would have matches at WrestleMania, I believe. So that is absolutely fine. So yeah, that is No Way Out 2002. Really good pay-per-view, and really enjoyed watching this one. Go onwards and upwards to WrestleMania 18, and yeah, we'll see you there for retro reviews. Keep it locked right here on Cheap Shot Entertainment as well, because we're going to be going to a lot of different shows in the UK indie scene. Please check out these shows on your screen now, because there's lots of things going off here in the Midlands, in the East Midlands, the east of the Midlands, as it were. Nottingham, Derby, Mansfield, you name it. There's wrestling around. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Hope you've enjoyed the retro review from Cheap Shot Entertainment. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought of No Way Out 2002. And I will see you at WrestleMania 18. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Hiya!